Hello, my beautiful narcissistic abuse family. I missed you guys. I am thrilled to be making this video right now. Summer has got a hold of me. I've been doing super fun things with my family, quality time, and in fact, something is going on today, but I went out of my way to make sure I made time to do this. So, I'm gonna talk today about a lot of us wrestle with this. You guys reach out to me often for this particular topic. The duality of who we are and who we become because of these losers, because of this narcissistic abuse, and how we are forced to deal with these people. So, at our core, we're inherently good people. That's why we were targeted by these monster loser jerks. Because they saw the good qualities in us. They saw our forgiving, kind hearts. And most of us, our baseline is to see the good in people, right? That's what kept us trapped in this abusive cycle for so long, being mistreated and disrespected. We kept holding on to hope that this loser would turn around and be a decent human being. We took it on ourselves, like, oh, fine, like, even with your parents. I mean, I'm speaking from the perspective of, having a partner that's a narcissist. I always hung on to hope with this loser, like, oh, like he just needs me to do this or be this, or he needs to be reassured, because they're like profoundly insecure, right? And we pick up on that because we're empathic. But even with your parents, it's like, oh, I always thought, like, oh, if I just communicate better, or, they have you believing that you are inherently bad, right? Like, that's the difference between growing up in a healthy dynamic as opposed to a toxic and dysfunctional home. When children grow up in a healthy dynamic, they're reprimanded for something and they think, okay, I did something bad. But when you're in a dysfunctional, disrespectful, abusive situation, you're yelled at for doing something and you think, I'm bad. You don't think I did something bad, isolate that part of your behavior. You take it on as, a toxic belief, the foundation of all of our toxic programming. So even with my toxic, narcissistic mother, I would always think, like, oh, I just need to communicate better. She doesn't know that I love her as much as I do. Like, I thought when I went to college, like, oh, she'll respect me more because, becoming an adult, our relationship will change. Like, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do with these people. That was a pivotal part of my healing, is just facing the fact that these people are beyond help. They don't want it. They don't believe that they need it. So there's nothing you can do with that. You just have to wash your hands of it. You just have to walk away. And they leave us no choice. And that's against everything inside of us, right? That goes against all of our principles. Like, we're the ones that are going to stick it out, stick by your side, and support you. And not the case when you have a narcissistic person that is hurting you, your parent, or, a partner. They just continue to tear you down at every opportunity to manipulate you. And we're human beings, right? Like, there's only so much that you can take. So when you finally get to the point where you realize how toxic, awful, and abusive the situation really is, we just shut off. It's time. It's long overdue in most of our cases. I would even say it's like all of our cases. We just take this garbage for way too long. And when you get to that point of just you're exhausted and it becomes detrimental to your health. Your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being is just suffered tremendously because of this horrific situation. Our bodies are miraculous. We are equipped with this fight or flight response, right, to imminent threats. But when you are in a situation where you're being narcissistically abused, it's a prolonged exposure. So our bodies, our physical bodies, are entrapped in this state of hypervigilance. It's so unnatural. It is not the way it's supposed to be. So we suffer. You suffer physical ramifications. Those high levels of cortisol, of, the fight or flight is when certain less critical at the time bodily functions are kind of muted or put out of the way in order for you to focus on whatever is threatening you at that moment. So, for example, like our digestive system, that's part of your parasympathetic nervous system. That's the rest and digest. So your digestive system will get totally screwed up because you're constantly focusing on this narcissist. You're constantly pouring yourself into making them happy, walking on eggshells, that type of thing. And our bodies are not designed for that kind of prolonged hypervigilant state. So, as I was saying, we're human beings. You can only take so much. This is like one of the most profound betrayals there is in life. Someone that you love and that you're pouring your heart and soul into is not reciprocating. They're in fact doing the polar opposite. It's not even that they're not loving you, they're actively acting against you. They're trying to sabotage you. They're actively trying to hurt you. It's inconceivable. So as a result, we're forced to go no contact with these people. And it goes against like everything we stand for, basically. It's not who we are. And a lot of people struggle with this. I myself struggled with it initially. I'm 3 years into it, so I'm proud to report that I feel very indifferent. I feel very, I would even say that I'm vacillating between pitying these people because, getting away from them only reaffirms that you're doing the right thing. They just continuously keep repeating the same awful behaviors that led us to this point to begin with. They're right, and they refuse to take accountability. The one thing, like, we are so forgiving, like, everything all would be, forgiven if they could just take responsibility for what they've done. If they could just legitimately, genuinely say that they're sorry, but they won't do that. So here we are. So as a result, we distance ourselves. We remove ourselves from the toxic situation. And I shared this a couple weeks back. We got another harassing email, my husband and I, from Vecna. My husband has appropriately nicknamed my narcissistic mother. If you watch Stranger Things, you understand that reference. But she sent us this terrible email about, who are you? You're heartless, you're this, you're that, you're terrible people, basically, is what she was asserting. Because narcs can never look in the mirror. They couldn't possibly, face the fact that they're the ones that are awful. Terrible excuses for human beings. They don't even have the basic decency and morality. that, comes along with being human. So they've like just put themselves on a different level. They're entitled, they're superior. So in result, they treat everyone in a condescending way. Anyway, so in this harassing email, I don't even like to say hoovering, I've said this before, because hoovering would suggest some type of enticing, like they're trying to lure you back with something. No, they're not trying to entice us with anything. They just continue to tell us how terrible we are and how everything's our fault and yada yada yada. So it was this terrible email, and in it she said that the enabler has been diagnosed with a form of cancer. God forgive me. This is what I'm talking about. Like, this is not in our nature to respond in a indifferent way. But I'll tell you what, I probably would have more compassion and sympathy for a complete stranger than I would these people, the toxic duo, because number one, they have been waiting undoubtedly to latch on to something like this, like a medical, catastrophe, so that they could exploit it as they do everything. They're just opportunistic predators. So, and a lot of you have reached out to me, which I love, and told me, like, you've had in the comments on these videos that you've had similar situations with your toxic duos or narcissists where they say, oh, it's like some terrible, they really embellish like a modicum of truth, and they'll just run with it and make it sound like they're at death's door. Where in reality, it was like a mole or something that needed to be removed and was taken care of. No problem. But, again, they just latch onto these things because they have to be the center of attention. They're always the victims, and we are, in result, the villains by default. So, I was saying that my feelings in response to that email are just like, are you kidding me? Like, I have none, what's. They could try everything. Like, first of all, my health is compromised, thanks to them, undoubtedly. But also, our son passed from brain cancer at 3 years old. And you're going to come at me with something like that. Like, look, I would never, ever, like, in normal circumstances, I would never, like, compare or quantify someone else's suffering or, hardships. I would never, ever do that. But in this situation, this is what I'm saying. This is the duality of, like, what these people elicit from us in contrast to, like, who we truly are. As like, these people don't know who we are. They never will, unfortunately for them. But they paint us in a certain way, right? Like, you're terrible, you're heartless, you're this, you're that. And it's like, you know what? Don't defend yourself against it. It's like talking to a brick wall. Nothing gets through to them. They've made up their minds as to the narrative they're sticking to and what they believe and what they want to spread to others. So it's fine. You guys were human beings. That's, I guess, the point of this whole video. My message is like, you're a good-hearted, beautiful human being. That's why you're taken advantage of. Narcissistic abuse is one of the most psychologically damaging, hurtful betrayals that a human being can ever experience or suffer through, endure. I mean, gosh, we have been through it. But we're better people because of it, because we still come out with good hearts, helping others, trying to help ourselves. And narcissists did the polar opposite. They're like all about themselves. They're egotistical, egocentric. We couldn't be that on our worst day. So don't ever question yourself. This is imperative for, you know what I love as well, which I've interacted with you guys. When you have your own family, your own spouse, your own children, you're like, gosh, they don't deserve this treatment. You know, we're so hard on ourselves, but people we love, we want to protect them, you know, and love them and respect them. And anyone that does not belong in their lives, in our life, they certainly have no place. So it's like, we never had that with these narcissistic parents, whatever, or partners, you know, like, they never stood up for us. They never respected us. And we did mistreatment. So I'm going to end on this outrageous. This is the latest email from Vecna. I think I shared it with you guys. She sent it to my husband, and it says, most people would do anything to see this come up on their phone again. If you still get these, you are blessed. Hashtag blessed and grateful. Hashtag be thankful. Hashtag forgiveness. Like, just wow. Wow. Like, they're famous for forwards, the toxic duo. So this is the forward that she sent with that message. You're blessed if this comes up on your phone. Like, wow. Are you kidding me? Right? It just reaffirms how egocentric these people are. Nothing gets rid of them. They'll never accept responsibility or accountability for anything. It's always us. So my point now is that I'm so, like, indifferent to it. It's a joke, and they're so pathetic. And I'm almost, like I said, I'm almost in the space where I can pity them and feel sorry for them, because they're just incapable of meaningful, substantial human relationships and connections. So that's it, you guys. I love you all. Happy summer for the last remaining weeks that we have. School will be starting at the end of this month over here. Hopefully I'll get back on more of a consistent schedule. I haven't been home with my kids, and I'm loving it. I'm loving every moment. It's filling up my mom tank. My husband and I don't have as much quality time together, alone time, as we do when they're in school, so that has taken a hit, but the family time is awesome. We've gone camping and done cool stuff like that. So I hope you guys are enjoying your summers, and I love you all. I will be back. I'm still here, I promise.